everyone, and welcome to the December 15th, 2014 meeting of the Merrimack Conservation Commission. Just want a couple of quick... let me start again. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the December 15th, 2014 meeting of the Merrimack Conservation Commission. I didn't have my mic on. Lauren is not able to be with us tonight, and I haven't heard from Tom lately, but he's still on time if he gets here. So I have no other announcements directly. Anyone have any other announcements they want to pass along? It is now 6:34 p.m. for our minutes taker. Okay, any public comment? All right, then I guess you're up, Nick.
Okay.
So Nick Coates, Executive Director of the New Hampshire Association of Conservation Commissions, is going to join us. You're welcome to sit right up here.
I was just going to mention it. If you guys have an applicant here that you'd like to get through first, I'd be happy to defer.
We have two applicants, so it'll be a little while.
That's fine. I have no problem with it.
You sure? I mean, you've got the long drive.
Well, I'm going to be home later anyway. My kids are going to be sleeping anyway, so it's no big deal. Really, I don't mind. If it throws you guys off, then I'll be happy to stick with the agenda. But
no, it doesn't throw us off. Is that okay?
Yeah.
You're good? All right.
Yeah.
All right, then we will we'll move Nick a little later in the agenda, and then we're here with Don. If you want to come up and join us, I do ask if you to sign in for me so we can get it right for the person who takes our minutes.
Sure.
I'm sorry, under address, did you want my address or do you want
Well,
the
you can put
759?
You can put your
Daniel Webster.
you can put that, or you can put your business name. That works fine. We do address for residents who come to visit. So.
Okay,
So.
thanks. Thank you. So I'm here in regards to 759 Daniel Webster Highway. And it's a property that was formerly known as Stone Works and Stone Table. It's had a couple of different names, I guess, in the Stone Company. And we are looking to use it as our office facility for a retail heating oil and propane distribution point doing HVAC work, which falls under the I-1 zoning regulations for Merrimack, and it is one that it says it is suited for.
Yeah.
There is parking there probably for 40 or 50 vehicles. I mean, it's paved a lot. The only changes that we drew in 3 parking spots, mainly for 1 propane delivery vehicle and 2 oil delivery vehicles. Then the other 9 parts were existing. The building's existing. Needs some paint, but I mean, we're not going to do any building or additions or anything like that. So we're using it mainly as an office, and we will have vehicles, going in and out of there, just as Stoneworks did for tablets and so on. When I first went to the planning board, they told me about the meeting on the 17th, and when I brought it back, they said, "Oh, by the way, you have to be here on the 16th also." And they didn't give me any information as to how you wanted it presented. So okay. I'm looking for your guidance, I guess.
All right, so we got a copy of your narrative, and we got a copy of your site plan, which I guess we've seen similar site plans off this drawing before. Yeah. So I don't know if you're digging for your site plan itself.
I have it right here. I'm sorry.
So typically the commission, we're asked by our subdivision regulations here in town to take a look at projects, and especially when they fall in the Aquifer Conservation District.
Certainly.
And then we look at other projects too, depending on the will of the planning board. And our job is to provide a recommendation to them on the project. When we look at things that fall in the Aquifer Conservation District, we're typically looking at things like landscaping, uses of fertilizer, winter snow removal, snow storage, de-icing compounds, things that impact water. We look at drainage, drainage patterns, drainage structures, and all of that. We look at distances and closeness to wetlands and things along that line. This project I don't believe has a wetland impact, so there's no dredge and fill permit or anything like that required, because then that would bring in our whole DES side of things. That we also provide them a recommendation on those kinds of things. So at the end of the day, we write up what we find, what we discuss. Before you leave here tonight, you'll know exactly what's going to be in that write-up. Where it's going to happen, and you're presenting again tomorrow.
Yes.
It'll be something that I will put together quickly tonight.
So I'm keeping you up late too, just like we're
you
going
are.
to keep
Yeah,
this
yeah,
gentleman
yeah.
up late.
So, and it'll be done.
I apologize ahead of time. How's
It's
that?
all right. It's okay. At least it's done and it's off my plate. So,
There you go.
So I'll put that together in an email off to the planning department and planning board so that they have
Okay.
that. But you'll know the contents of it before we leave tonight.
Good, thank
So,
you.
So given that, why don't you talk to us about you mentioned that there's really no changes at all except for 3 additional parking spots. Are those going to be paved? Because I don't believe
It is paved already.
It is paved
It's
already.
already paved, so we're not changing any paving, we're not changing any landscaping other than we need to remove. People seem to be leaving trash there and sofas and, it's a closed business, so,
Right.
every time I go there to try to do something, because I've been going there for about 3 weeks, people are dumping stuff and, so we'll be cleaning it up, but we're not paving anything, we're not changing any of the landscape per se.
Because there was a large gravel area as well.
Huge gravel area,
Heading north
yes.
towards the Bedford line, yeah.
Yes, and part of it is fenced in, but they left that open. But evidently that was where he was storing the stone slabs and everything else was in that area. So, I'm not storing any stone slabs or anything, but that's all sand, and, we don't plan on making any changes to it. And there's quite a bit more land that goes towards the tree line. So I would see that, we're probably going to end up plowing snow into that, or something like that, when we do get enough snow to plow other than Thanksgiving Day, right? This is New Hampshire, we're going to get some, so.
Yeah.
But we don't plan on making a lot of changes to it.
Okay. Yeah, the previous tenant, I guess tenant is probably the right word, of the use. I actually they were doing apparently doing some stone cutting or something in the back,
Yes, there is
which then had stuff that leaked off into the wet area, which caused them issues.
I believe so. I mean, I'm not familiar with the whole thing, but
Yeah.
I was a little surprised when I went in there and saw that the cement had been sloped and the drains had been cut right into the floor so that it could just drain out. I've been in this business, the oil and propane business, for 35 years, and one thing you don't do is drain anything out that especially when you're cutting stone and stuff, because the oils that you use to cut stone and water and
Yeah.
you just don't do that. So we won't be cutting anything in the back in that storage area. That we also do air conditioning and heating, and that'll be where we'll put piping stuff for storage. To be able to service your homes or replace your boiler or your furnace. That's what we use that back area for. It won't be for doing anything other than that.
So will you be closing off the floor drains and things like that?
I had not done anything with it. It's pretty much been filled back in with cement, and but it's not done professionally. We don't plan on putting anything back there that would leak down those drains or anything. So I hadn't thought about redoing the floor, but
Yeah. No, I'm
Someday
only
we
concerned
may.
that the drains aren't functional anymore. That's
yeah,
all.
no, they will not be functional.
I'm not going to be
Yeah.
going in and looking at them, and if customers
No,
aren't
no,
seeing
they
them, I
won't
guess
be
it doesn't
functional. No,
matter.
nobody's going to actually. I mean,
Right.
it's in the back area. Nobody actually sees it, but I also want to make sure that nothing else is coming out of the drains. I don't want you calling me or somebody calling me and saying what's running out of that building.
Yeah.
So no, we won't. The drains won't be operable anymore. We won't be using them. So
Okay.
there's, like I say, it's completely paved right now, and there's room to park a lot of vehicles. I don't know, he had approval for 9, and we needed 12, and I put 3, back towards this end side because it made the sense. It was the furthest from the street. It's all paved. It gives plenty of access, so that's why I picked that area to park the other 3 vehicles. The other vehicles, service techs will be driving their vehicles home, so, there won't be other vehicles parked there other than the trucks. And they'll come in, in the morning, pick them up, and they'll come in at night when they're done, because our loading facilities are located off-site, so they won't be coming back and forth all day long.
Yeah.
So,
The trucks that are gonna be parked there, are they gonna be oil trucks, or are they gonna be service vehicles?
there'll be 2 oil trucks and 1 propane truck.
All right, so they're not service vehicles.
No, the service vehicles are going
Those will be
home at
coming
night
back.
with,
Okay.
with the service technicians.
And those, I'm keeping the road across the top. If the trucks are gonna be parked, the distribution trucks are gonna be parked over on the right?
I'm sorry, I have it from the road.
I got the road across the top.
Oh, you got the road across the top,
I can
okay.
flip, you can flip, it doesn't matter.
Like this?
Yeah, so where?
They're towards the back of the building.
Okay,
From the street side, they'd be on the left at the back.
all right, so they're gonna be.
From the street side, they'd be at the left back here,
Proposed parking.
right there. See,
Yeah,
proposed.
no, that's the thing, ours didn't really.
Okay, I'm sorry,
didn't
yeah.
copy
Ours,
that well.
ours didn't transfer very well, huh?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But see where they are right here? So they're drawn out to, there's actually room for more, but I'll only have 3, so.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
they're a home delivery vehicle. These aren't transport trucks or like that. They're
Right.
like the one that comes to
Comes
the
to the house.
home to,
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, like Roche has parked at his facility,
Yeah.
those size trucks. Not the big transports he
Right there,
has,
yeah.
but the small ones.
So,
Your fill, sorry.
go ahead, no.
Your fill facility is not going to be
Not on that
on-site?
property, no.
So-
It's actually 3 different locations, but none of them are on that site.
And when you're storing the trucks overnight,
Mm-hmm.
they may or may not be full.
That's true. They may or may not be full. Of course, for you to get oil out of that, you have to pump it. Could the oil pan leak on one? Sure it could, but it could leak on my car or, you know what I mean? But in order to get oil out of that truck, you have to pump that oil out. It's not like it's just gonna run out onto the ground. So, but they would be parked there. 2 of those would be oil, 1 would be propane, and of course the propane wouldn't go into the ground anyway.
Is there any, I haven't been back on that side, is there any curbing there at all, or anything that's, any kind of containment
Curbing at the back here?
at the back, or is there?
No, there
No,
isn't.
it's all level
In
ground.
fact, one of the things we were going to suggest as I got thinking about it is that we could easily put those small Jersey barriers, not the full Jersey barrier, but the small ones they make, and just kind of frame the back end of that, because, then if, I can't imagine anything's gonna leak out anyway, but I like it from the standpoint of it gives my trucks an end to, this is as far as you want to back. So,
Yeah.
But right now, as it sits, there are none there. It's
there's
just
no-
on pavement, just sits on pavement.
Is it relatively level back there? I mean, it's not, is it sloping?
Yeah,
back
it's
off a little bit?
relatively level. It slopes a little bit back towards the center of the property, and I think that's because of drainage. So it did slope back slightly. You can see where they put pavement in, and then in this back area, they've got another coating of pavement on the top, so it kind of just naturally falls back towards that area. So,
Because there was a brook that runs all the way behind there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just,
yeah. And I don't want to clean up any brooks or anything else either, so. It ruins the day, so.
Yeah.
and then some.
Yeah, but yeah, where there would be parks, a paved area, and, it's probably, I'm guessing it's about 60 feet probably above, where that brook goes, and then the brook's out further, but I mean, it's probably about a 60-foot bank in there, I guess. 50, 60 feet.
we have any plantings or anything else going in, or is it gonna be, the exterior gonna be pretty much the way it is now?
Well, it needs to be cleaned up, and I have not proposed any plantings there, but I'm open to some suggestions because it does need to be cleaned up. I mean, you know, and there will be some work done on the building, don't get me wrong, because it's in disrepair. You know, I mean, the building has not been taken care of, and so it needs a little bit of, you know, pixie dust. It needs some cleanup, and, you know, there's a few boards that I need to replace and that kind of stuff. But we will, you know, we would be open to doing plantings there because we do want to keep, we want it to look nice. You know, I want people to come in there. It's our office, you know, and it's just been in disrepair, that's all.
So when you say your office, are you going to do retail sales out of there as well?
What it'll be is you can come in and pay your bills, sign up to become a customer, you know, that type of thing. Not a retail where you're going to come in and buy stuff and take it home, but retail in the sense that it'll be an office where you can come pay your bill, you can come ask questions about heating equipment,
Administration office.
yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So the plan is that there's going to be 2 people working in the office in there, a salesperson, myself, 2 technicians, and 2 drivers. That's kind of the whole, you know, that's kind of the whole gamut as we start the business. So, you know, so it'll bring 7 jobs into Merrimack that will average over $20 an hour, you know, with benefits and you know, health care and everything else. So I think from that standpoint it's good, and it's the first building into Merrimack out of Bedford, and it could certainly use somebody paying some attention to it.
Yes.
It's not it's not actually a welcome center right now.
Yeah, right.
You know,
I completely
Is
understand
this a
that.
new business?
actually, I sold my business, which was Borderline Fuels in Somersworth, New Hampshire, in September. I am partnering with Townsend's, who bought my business in Somersworth, who I've known for over 30 years. They've been in the business since 1931. So they have some existing business in New Hampshire. They're actually out of Danvers, Massachusetts. So the 2 brothers and myself decided that we're going to get together and we're going to start another company up here. And it's an area that we feel needs it. With what's happened with Fred Fuller and other situations up here, it's a great opportunity for somebody to come in that's a full-service company and build a business. And between the 3 of us, we probably have 100 years' experience running some pretty large ones. So we've done a lot of market analysis, and you know, we were actually looking in Merrimack to, well, probably Bedford because I lived there, down to, you know, probably Hudson, so somewhere in between. And this site actually ended up being a perfect site for us, you know, for what we looked at. It has a lot of potential. There's a lot of cars that go by it every day. It needs, you know, it does need some work. It needs to be fixed up, but it gives us a nice billboard out there when it's fixed up and it looks good, and puts a lot of cars by there every day. So,
So, you know, getting back to plantings and things like that, you asked for our recommendation. We always recommend things that are naturally found here in New Hampshire.
oh, absolutely.
Native plants, yeah.
I was born and raised here, so it'll be stuff that's here from New Hampshire.
So, the exotic trees and
Yeah,
weird
we
things.
don't care for any of that. You know, I've done some projects before where people have come in and I put, you know, large propane tanks in, and they've said we want mungo pines, and I go, well, they only grow 15 feet. I grew up working in the lumber business as a kid, and the tank's 30 feet. So if I put a 15-foot tree in, you're not going to like the results. 15 years from now, it's going to be 15 feet, and the top half of the tank's still going to be visible. So I think it needs some dressing up in the front and along the fence area with some plantings. And I actually, my parents raised my cousin. He's a horticulture professor. He teaches at Tarleton State University, and when he comes home this summer, his project would be to design it for me. He's from New Hampshire originally, so he knows him, and he's done my houses, and he does a nice design job on them. So
Yeah, good.
it needs to be dressed up.
Yeah,
You know,
no,
it's just a matter
I
of,
understand that.
I'm not set on any specific thing, but I think that it needs some plantings in the centerpiece around the 2 drive-ins, and it needs some along the fence area, because it you know, where that sand pit is, it's grown up, it's kind of weedy now, and it needs to be cleaned up.
So where are you thinking of snow removal? Where are you gonna push it to? Snow storage?
I'm thinking we would push to where the sand area is, which is off to the left here. There's a huge,
Right.
it actually goes a long way. There's gravel here, and, I mean, to me, that's the
That's a big-
perfect spot for it, and
Are you gonna leave the fence up, just,
I'm gonna leave the fence up. I may come back later on and try to close it off, with a double gate area, you know, so that we could plow into it. But if we had things that we wanted to store in there, then we could lock it, you know.
Right.
But right now, it's just planned to be left open. I don't need it for anything. But if they decide that, you know, if I decide later on I need a secure area or something, I'll come
Okay.
back and look at, you know, finishing the fence. It's about 100 feet by 100 feet right
it's a-
now,
yeah, it's a good size.
but it's, you know, it's an L.
Yeah, right.
I don't know what good it is, but it's an L.
So, and you're not gonna be storing, other than the trucks, you're not gonna be storing any equipment on site? There's gonna be no refrigerant storages, no,
No, I mean,
other than what's in the truck, I mean.
yeah, there's
service
things in the
vehicles.
service. I need things for service vehicles. You know, there may be acetylene, you know, small acetylene tanks. You know, the ones we use on torches.
Right.
I'm not talking about huge. Yeah, it's just that kind of day-to-day working type things that would be stored there, and they'll be inside. You know.
Okay, so any pipe cutting, thread cutting, things like that, all those lubricants, those would be done.
Yeah, if we're doing, you know, very little that's done anymore, by the way.
Dye and oil and
Yeah, most of that's not done. And if it is done, it's done on site.
Right.
You know, at the customer's home. You know, and they have a barrel. You know, it's
Okay.
a pan that goes under it. But that's only usually if you're putting in now black iron pipe. And you know, today most everything's done with either a plastic pipe or, you know, even copper's going by the wayside now. You know, because you can run so much of the other stuff so much less.
Okay.
Customers don't want to pay for that kind of work. But we still do use it for doing fill pipes,
Yep.
you know, that type of thing.
Right.
You can use pressed copper now, but you can't use soldered copper. Doesn't meet code. So black iron's cheaper than us coming in and doing pressed copper, so we will do some of that. But it's usually done right at the customer's home.
Anyone else have any questions? So,
We're not gonna be doing any, and you're not gonna be doing your own, do you do your own vehicle maintenance, your own
No.
truck maintenance? That's all done
No,
off-site?
that'll be with, you know, with different trucking companies in
Okay,
town.
good.
You know. I don't need to do that kind of work. That's, I'd rather stick with things I know.
Yeah. Good idea.
And it's always nice when you're running, you know, a company that there's a third party that you can say, I brought that truck to them. You know, they did the work. They're the experts. You know, when you have your own people doing it, things seem to go wrong.
Right.
So, yeah, we don't plan on doing any vehicle maintenance, not even our own oil changes. It's not worth it.
Good.
You know.
all right, so kind of like what I mentioned to you before we get started, I would suspect that the planning board's going to ask you about seeing your landscape design. I'm sure that's going to come up.
Okay.
Just so you're aware, they're also probably going to ask you about lighting. We don't look at lighting, but they're going to ask you about that, I suspect.
Okay.
Just so you're aware. I expect signage will come up with them. We don't look at signage unless you're going to put it somewhere.
Yeah,
that
the,
we're concerned
I
about.
plan on using the existing sign that's there. You know, just putting. You know, I'm not planning a change to the sign. The size is fine. I'm just going to have somebody come in and cut the new pieces for it that
Yeah.
will say, you know, Townsend Oil and Propane or Townsend Energy LLC. So I don't plan on making changes to the sign. I did notice it's a lit sign, and he ran conduit over to it, but he never ran the power over to it. So I don't know what that's about. I'll ask the town when I.
Yeah, and maybe it's not to code. Who knows?
It could be, and that's what I don't know. So I'm
Right.
assuming I will find out,
Yeah.
you know, before I light it. But
Yeah.
but I did notice that. So, but there's a lot of things there that were kind of done, you know.
Quickly, right? Is that the right word?
It could be what the person could afford to do at the time,
Right,
you know,
right.
which happens. And
Right, yeah.
but it needs some work. And you know, as far as for the town of Merrimack, I mean, it's not a good billboard right now the way it sits. Somebody should be in there doing something with it that makes it a good property to go look at when you go by. So.
So, yeah, so when it comes to snow and ice treatment and stuff like that, have you heard of the Green Snow Pro program? That
No, but I can tell you that in the 5 years that I own Borderline Fuels, I only sand, I don't salt.
Okay. Yeah, because that makes us very happy.
We don't need to, we can clean it up good enough so that we don't need to salt, we sand.
Yeah, I was going to say your elevations aren't such that you probably really need that, so.
We don't. I haven't done it in the 5 years I owned the other one, so I don't assume I'll be doing it here, Usually we treat it with sand. If we need to do a walkway, we use the salt-free stuff if we need to put some out on a walkway where people are walking in. I do it at my house, It's a little more money, but you don't use that much of it, so, unless you're doing the whole driveway. So.
Yeah, not that the brook is that close, but we prefer not to
No,
have
but
it.
it's not just the brook either. It's a well there.
Yeah.
Why put the salt into your
Yeah.
soil if you don't need to?
Well, everyone who has water in Merrimack, it comes out of the ground unless it's coming from Pennachuck. So that's why we're so concerned about those things.
And that's why there's, it's the same way when I had the business in Somersworth. We had a well, and it's like, why put the salt in the ground?
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
a need for it. So.
Yeah, because it dilutes very quickly and gets right in there, and then it's hard to get it out.
And I got a very gravelly area that in the summer I could just sweep the sand back on top of the gravel, so it's not a big deal. So.
Okay. Good. Does that cover all the points? Mike?
Anything else?
All right, so what would you like me to pass along to the planning board then?
I'd still like to include our standard comments about native plants and phosphates and snow. I mean, that's snow removal.
Yeah.
And the ice. I mean, just for your own edification, you'll have it.
That's fine.
Yeah. And then, I think it's a good idea. I'd like to see that building cleaned up.
Yeah, so the one thing he touched on is we've been telling folks who do fertilizers or prefer to do fertilizers in their landscaping that they have their soil tested to see if they even need to add amendments to the soil. And then two, that we prefer slow release nitrogen and no phosphates or low phosphates if required.
The way it sits right now, there's no grass area
Yeah,
there.
right, yeah.
So I don't really envision,
So
I mean,
it's going to be difficult.
yeah, and I could tell you that we, like I said, in the other one I own, we did have a grass area, but, we had an irrigation system when we watered it, but we never needed to put chemicals on it. I mean, it came out fine.
All right, so just don't be surprised if that's our standard comments, so we'll pass those right along.
That's fine.
All right. Anything else? Good, all right.
No?
Thank you for coming.
Listen, I appreciate your time, and I'm sorry to keep that gentleman up late and you, but I appreciate it.
Okay,
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
all right.
I saw some people down there poking at it, and I didn't realize.
Coming, huh?
Yeah, I was like, oh, good. That's nice. That is a eyesore and a half.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I didn't realize I actually had the original, sorry.
That's all right.
And I've got stuff on the new one, on the next plan as well, so,
Even with the glasses, I couldn't quite read that.
yeah. All right.
Although the light here is much better than the kitchen.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. All right, so next we have Kathleen and Carlisle Hatfield and Richard and Christine Hatfield. Did I get that right?
Yeah, I'm representing the Hatfields.
Okay, and you are?
I am Catherine Basso.
Okay,
I believe I emailed you.
yes, yep,
Okay, so I'm representing the Hatfields. Right now, they have 4 existing parcels involved, and they want to do a lot line adjustment and consolidation to make it into 2. There's 2 principal residences right now. The pink lot in the bottom is Christine and Rick's principal residence, and then in the blue one is Kathleen and Carl's principal residence, and then in the green is a vacant camp that they're going to be taking down.
I see, okay.
That's really the taking down is the only thing that's really happening other than just a lot line adjustment. We already got approval from the Merrimack Planning Board, and part of their conditions is just to see if you guys have any concerns with the project. So as I said, it's just going to be 4 lots into 2. It's going to make them more conforming lots, and it's going to give the pink lot down there, it's going to give them full access to their right-of-way on Greenwood Road, which is an easement right now, and it will not be required. I actually have the other plan to show you too.
Yeah.
This is the 4, and that's the
Oh, that's great, yeah, yeah.
That's what it's gonna, that's the end product.
Yep, these 2 lots, this one and this one, and
Alright.
they have their access to the right-of-way right there, and then this will be removed.
That existing one-story building is a camp?
It used to be somebody's
oh.
home, but it's just small and it's not in good condition, so.
Is there like a leach field and stuff there for that camp, or?
Their septic system is up here, that's why they acquired this lot, this one. So the septic is up here. I don't believe there's any leach field down there.
There's not a leach field.
Yeah.
So you're saying that the camp that's being taken down, leach field is all the way, is there, huh? Okay, yeah, it was,
No,
No?
No,
All right.
sorry.
That's
the
okay.
house.
There's no leach field for the camp.
okay,
They
Um,
just have theirs.
The,
Theirs up here
the septic system is for the house that we live in.
okay.
on the purple lot.
All right, and then the right-of-way, does that end up out to pavement somewhere?
Yeah, in Amherst.
In Amherst, okay, okay.
This is just their gravel personal driveway.
Any plans to expand the driveway? Because I noticed there's some wet areas on your map. Okay,
It's just a lot line adjustment right now.
yeah, all right. All right, yeah, our versions of the plan are, they're small, they're hard to see all the different pieces, especially when I see that.
Yeah,
You know,
it's a little
that's-
hectic.
that was a real eye test for me, so.
I didn't know what she had
Yeah.
given you. She just said we were all set, so I figured I'd bring the color ones to hopefully make it easier.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I suspected that we probably had the right ones here, but I didn't have them with everybody, so. Anyone want to see the large version?
Can you just flip to, I'm sorry, that's, cause that's what it is now.
Yep.
I just wanna, alright, so that's gonna be, alright. Okay. That's what I didn't understand.
Okay.
So, the lot line. The lot lines, at the bottom of the map, is that on Babusick Lake?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, that's the shoreline.
understood, okay.
Yeah, those things at the bottom, I believe, are docks.
I just have to ask, how much hassle is it living?
You don't even want to know.
Merrimack
I
and
can't,
Amherst?
I go through it
I can't imagine.
every year, and that's one of the reasons we're getting rid of the cottage. We don't want anything in Amherst. Half of our house is in Amherst.
Right, I'm looking at,
56% of our house is in one town, and it's really, and we're the only ones, so we can't trade off, because we thought maybe we could trade with someone else and just be in one town, but they won't let us do it.
Yeah, when you're walking there, you can't tell if you're in Amherst or Merrimack.
the section of land that's in Merrimack is, what is that, maybe an acre? If that?
Well, the 2 small parcels at the bottom, I believe, on the other picture, one is 1/5 of an acre and the other one's 1/5 of an acre. So
So-
altogether,
So you're talking, yeah, well, that's the thing, is, you see what I'm saying? I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
It's all in Merrimack. Can we just move her to Amherst and say, look, we don't own that property? I mean,
It's okay.
it's just foolish.
We as a commission, we own land in Amherst as well.
yeah, we have a very tiny, tiny portion in Amherst.
Yeah.
Yeah, the purple lot is 0.059 acres, and the green is 0.111 acres in Amherst. So,
All right.
Jeez, I can't. Oh.
So I went through the planning board minutes and their conditions of approval, and I didn't see them asking us to highlight anything or to take special attention to looking anything on this plan.
Yeah, it just said make sure you guys don't have any
Yeah.
concerns
Yeah.
or
So
questions.
I suspect they probably brought that up, related to the lake being there. We
Your
look at
proximity to the lake.
yeah. Right. So, but where there's really no site plan improvements except for the removal of probably a building that doesn't look so great, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
It,
just
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I really have,
Yeah, I have no. I mean, there's nothing.
yeah,
You're moving a line on a sheet of paper.
yeah.
It has no effect on anything. Well, hopefully it has some effect for you, some
Yeah.
positive effect
That's
for you,
right.
It will,
Yeah.
yeah.
but still.
Anyone else have anything? Anything we want to pass along to the planning board, or are we just going to say we have nothing to add?
Can we can we pass along the desire to move a town line?
Yeah, no. You probably have no idea what that's going to take, okay?
Well, no, but think of how many states follow the stream, and so, okay, why don't we do the same thing? Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, this.
get the governor involved with
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing, I don't, really nothing for us to review on this, other than the fact that,
Yeah,
have fun.
okay. Anything? You all set, Mike?
Yes.
Cindy? Matt?
Nothing to add.
Good. So, yeah, so I will let the planning department and the planning board know that we really had nothing to add to it, and hope it works out better for you, so. Okay, yeah, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was easy.
Yeah. All right, just shuffling papers.
It's all right.
Getting
Take your time.
getting to where I'm organized for you again, so,
Sorry I threw you off, but I figured let's get the applicants out, keep them happy.
yeah. No, appreciate you doing that, so.
A planner of 7 years, I know that keeping the applicant is happy is a good thing for
Yeah.
the long term.
I've seen your name in lots of different places.
Yeah.
I know I have.
Hopefully not the police log.
Is there a story there?
Well, how much money do you have? Right. I used to be sorry, for the record, Nick Coates, New Hampshire Association of Conservation Commissions. I was a newspaper reporter for the National Telegraph growing up in high school. I grew up in Nashua, and then I was a reporter for the Union Leader for a little while. That might have been it. And I covered Nashua, Hudson, and Hollis, and then a little bit of Merrimack every once in a while. And then I was a planner for a while too, in Concord. So I'm bound to have turned up somewhere.
Yeah, I think reporter is probably where I've seen you.
Yeah.
before, so.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you guys having me over. I have been doing the roadshow. I think for those of you who went to the annual meeting, I think I reported at the annual meeting that I've met with about 55, 60 conservation commissions. Is now about 70, 75. So slowly ticking up my list towards the 216.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah. So just some background for you guys to start with. So we're the only organization that's really specifically dedicated to working with conservation commissions. We're a nonprofit. We're not a state agency. So if you have a complaint about DES, I can't help you there. But I can help you make sure that the complaint gets to the right person and that you are navigating the process appropriately. So that's just one thing that people sometimes don't realize is that we're not a state agency, even though we're in Concord. Just some numbers for you. 234 municipalities in the state of New Hampshire. 216 of them have conservation commissions. Starting next year, there'll be 217. I have a board member who wants to help us get to our goal of getting every single municipality a conservation commission. And so he's managed to work with the town of Roxbury, and they're going to be establishing a conservation commission, which is the first one in something like 15 years. So that's pretty neat. So how many are members of our organization? It depends on the economy. The economy up and down. We took a little bit of a hit because the economy went down. We've rebounded significantly. Our membership is right around about 190 to 200. So we represent pretty much all of the conservation commissions in the state, and we represent them all in many different matters. They're all our children, but dues-paying members are about that many. So I have a goal of having I'd like to see every conservation commission in a municipality, or every municipality have a conservation commission. I'd like to see all of them become members of our organization. So there's three things that we do. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we do. There's three things that we do that either no one else does or that we do better. So it's education, it's technical assistance, and it's legislative work. So on the education side, we've had the annual meeting, which this year was our 44th annual. And you can get all the presentations on our website. So if you go there and you see anything that's of interest, you can ask us about the topic, and we can get you in touch with the presenter. This year's theme was engaging young conservationists. I have to admit, actually, you guys are probably the youngest conservation commission that I've met. The average age is, and I'm not exaggerating, the average age is probably between 80 and 85. I mean, it's like there's a lot of folks who are quite old, and that makes me pretty nervous, both because conservation commissions are not turning in the next generation. The next generation is not coming through the ranks, which, we want to have a legacy to pass on, and there's no one to pass it on to yet. And the other part of it, as an organization, obviously, if there are no conservation commissions, that's problematic for us. So we're really going to be focusing a lot of our attention on getting younger people involved in conservation commission work. So we have a bunch of ideas. Probably 9 out of 10 won't work. The one that works will probably be a great idea. So we're working on it, and we're getting there. Actually, out of our annual meeting, we managed to connect 2 college students, recent grads, to conservation commissions in their towns. So, that was without even really trying. So I have a feeling that I think if we continue to do this work and we focus on it, that we can really start to make a difference. But on the education side, it's really about teaching the conservation commissions how to engage younger people. It's about, figuring out where younger people want to be involved. So we did some field training series sessions. This is the first time that we ever did the field training series, and probably our most successful, or one of our 2 most successful, was here in town in Merrimack with the Beavers. And our new board member is Tracy Tarr, who I think did the session for you guys. Yeah. She's very interested in having you guys do it again if you're interested. It was a great project. A lot of folks learned. Actually, as a matter of fact, I was talking to Milford the other day. And they said that they learned a lot. They've got a project going on that they're dealing with beavers. So I would love to work with you guys, or if you've got other ideas, by all means, let's talk. And I know you and I have talked just briefly about that. So the other thing beyond the education that's really important is the technical assistance. So technical assistance for us comes in a lot of different forms. I'd like to think that we're sort of the Google of conservation commissions. If you have a question, we'll have the answer. We've been around for 44 years. Chances are we've seen the issue, or if we haven't seen the issue, we know how to get the answer. So it's the day-to-day, picking up the phone and, hey, we're working on an easement project, and how can we use the conservation fund for this project to we're trying to determine whether we should allow hunting on this town property. What's the appropriate things that we should be looking at? Or we're trying to pass a measure at town meeting. What do we do? So, we usually get about 10 calls a day from commissions around the state, so it keeps us pretty busy. And, they're from the more mundane to the more complicated. And if we don't get a phone call, it's an email. And one of the other things that we're doing is our website is getting revamped. And we have a member section now. We are going to be boosting it over the next 6 months, and it'll be everybody will have a login that wants a login, and you can go in and you can pick up things like a scope of work for a natural resources inventory. So that's like one example. Like the town of Washington, for example, recently just did a natural resources inventory, and they said, sure, yeah, we'd be happy to make that available to other communities. I mean, why duplicate work? I mean, if other conservation commissions are doing the work, then learn from them. Another one, I think that's very relevant actually to your conversation, is we recently had a conference call with a wetland scientist, and he provided a list of about 20 questions that conservation commissions should be asking applicants when an application comes in. Have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? What are you doing here? And so I think that's a great tool for conservation commissions to be able to get to the bottom of some of this stuff. And because it is complicated. I mean, some of these things are really complicated. So those are some things that will be put up on there. There's some now, but it's going to get improved. So just the routine tech assistance, like helping you guys do your jobs. And then the last thing, my favorite part of my job is legislative. So I don't say this lightly. I would like to say that if it weren't for us, that conservation commissions would no longer be in existence. There have been many attempts over the last couple of years, and there's another one coming in the next couple of weeks to eliminate conservation commissions. There was a study bill last year that was proposed that looked at the idea around how do conservation commissions and land trusts work together, and whether or not they should be allowed to work together. And another one was looking at what do conservation commissions do, should they exist. The one that's been proposed this year is a lot more aggressive. We are trying to get to the bottom of the issue of why it's being proposed. It's being proposed by a legislator in a nearby community. So I'll just leave it at that at this point. It's a concern. It's obviously a concern, and unfortunately, we see it every single year. And we'll make the fight. We'll make the case every year, like we always do, about why conservation commissions are of value. Along with legislative work, I'll talk about a couple bills in particular from last year that we spent some time on. Kind of give you a really quick preview of some interesting work relating to legislative. Before I do that, one of the other things that we do is not only do we represent you in the State House, we also serve on a number of key committees. So, for example, we sit on the Wetlands Council. So when there are grievances put forward, we have an appointee who is on the Wetlands Council looking out for the interests of conservation commissions. Another one is the Current Use Board. So it's the board that sets the rates for timber tax, which is important for conservation commissions, obviously. Another one is the State Technical Committee. That's an RCS, USDA Natural Resources Conservation Service. So that is very focused on grant funding that comes from the federal government to the state. So we have a hand in that. We are also on the State Conservation Committee, which they do a lot of things that not many people know about. The one that you probably know about is we are the ones who help determine who gets funded for Moose Plate. So those are all really important committees that we serve on your behalf. And I guess the last one that's most acute to the legislative matters is we have an appointee on the Rivers Advisory Council, or Rivers Management Advisory Council. I'll mention why that's important in a minute. So there were, as I mentioned, there were two bills that were sort of going after conservation commissions. We managed to kill both of them. Took more time than I wished. I mean, if I didn't have to spend $1 or a dime or a minute in the legislature, I wouldn't, but we have to. So we managed to get those taken care of, which was good. There was another bill that we worked on that was very successful. It was Senate Bill 388. So this bill was signed by the governor, and about every 10 years or so, there's the Forest Society and Nature Conservancy and other organizations such as ourselves propose to do a very deep look at how conservation is done in the state of New Hampshire. So how is it funded? How is it not funded? Is conservation working? Is it not working? What's protected that should be protected? What's not protected that should be? How is it all done? And so it was signed by the governor. The committee worked over the summer for a couple months, 3 or 4 months, like a meeting a week for a couple months. And there were, I don't know how many people testified. I think it was probably about 30 or 40 organizations and state agencies that testified, and we were participating in the process. A report was developed. It's on our website. The base report is like 12 pages long, and then it's like 150 pages of appendices. So page 12 is the most important one, or 13 or whatever it is. It's the recommendations. The recommendations that came out of that committee, one was continue to fund LCHIP, because that's a really important funding source for conservation commissions and conservation work. Protect LCHIP, so it made a recommendation of a constitutional amendment to make sure that LCHIP that isn't rated, because it's been used in the past to fill budget shortfalls, and many of our organizations feel that if it's meant for conservation, it should be used for conservation, not for plugging in holes in the budget.
What is LCHIP?
It's the Land Conservation
Heritage,
the
right?
Heritage Investment Program.
Yeah.
It's a grant program that's put out twice a year, predominantly funds conservation easement projects or that kind of thing. So it's one of the it's probably the most popular grant program for conservation work. So
We used the predecessor program, LCIP,
LCIP, yes, yep.
on
so
one of our properties a while back, a long while back.
Yep. So
We have to go walk it, report on it yearly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's money that comes with some not restrictions, but conditions that you monitor and manage your property and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yep. So fund LCHIP, protect it. It also talked about one of the key findings that I found really interesting is that of the state's drinking water supply, something like 7% of it's protected. The rest of it could be developed at any given time. That's problematic for a state that relies and sort of positions itself as the state where you would want to have good quality of life. Drinking water is essential to quality of life. So there's a lot of discussion about how do we really target efforts across the state on doing a better job of protecting drinking water. Another discussion was around how do we protect working lands, because agriculture is so important to our heritage as a state. How do we ensure that we're protecting our working lands so that farmers aren't priced out of it and all these lands become subdivisions? There were other recommendations. One of the other recommendations relating to conservation commissions was how do we encourage conservation commissions to leverage additional resources with their conservation fund? So fast forward to legislative matters of today. 3 or 4 of the key recommendations that came out of that study are now LSRs. So, sorry, I have to get out of Concord for a minute. LSR. So, legislative service request. It's like a 1-sentence placeholder that a legislator submits that says, "I have an idea. I'm thinking about something," and it's a placeholder for when the language of the entire bill then gets put forward, working with legislative services. So right now, all the LSRs are coming through, being submitted by the legislators. As of this morning, and I'm sure there's probably a couple hundred more, but as of this morning, there were about 850 that have been submitted. It's pretty interesting for folks who talk about less restrictions needed.
Smaller government, and we just keep
Yeah. throwing
more of them out there. I love it. Yeah.
Right. Sorry, that was probably should have made that comment, but I didn't. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there's, as I said, there's about 850. There's probably, I don't know, probably a couple hundred or more. I think the deadline is next week, so who knows what we'll see. there's probably about 40 or 50 of them that I'm watching right now that could potentially impact conservation commissions. I'd say probably about there's 3 or 4 that are most definitely in play for that could be bad for conservation commissions. One, as I said, is what we're trying to get more information about on I think the language is relative to the powers of conservation commissions. We've seen this one before. There's another one that's looking at allowing.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
is there any way to identify it so we can
Yes.
find information on it?
Yep. So you can go if you Google. This is the way I do it. Is just NH space LSRs. The first hit will be all of the list, and it's only the placeholder language at this point. It's like one sentence. There are some that I have more language on because I've been contacting legislators and saying, "Can you tell me what this is about?" Some of them are receptive to talking, and some of them are not. So if, as you look at them, you find one that you think, "What's this one all about?" Contact me, and then I might have some additional information on it. So yeah, another one's proposing the idea of allowing municipalities to borrow funds from other funds. So the concern that I have on this bill is what I'm hoping it's not proposing is allowing certain town boards to borrow from the conservation fund to plug in budget shortfalls or whatever else. So we're paying attention to that one. That's another one that we're a little bit nervous about. There's another one that's relating to a proposal up north for designating the Ham Branch watershed of the Ammonoosuc, and they're proposing to basically opt out of the requirements of the Shoreline Protection Act. So we're evaluating that as well for probably the reasons that you can imagine. So anyway, there's a bunch of them, and we're paying attention and we're seeing where it goes. So I apologize, that's a little bit of an extended, but that's kind of where I've been spending my most recent time. And then there's this other pipeline project that's been happening.
Yeah.
So if you want to talk about that, I can. If you don't want to talk about it, I'm happy to not talk about it.
Yes. I guess the one comment is the Association of Conservation Commissions has not taken a stand on the pipeline. Is
Yes.
that true?
Yeah. So at this point, we're evaluating. I was talking to one of my senior board members. And he said he was on the board for 20. He's been on the board for 20 years, and he said I can't remember us ever taking a position on anything in 20 years. And there's a couple of reasons for that. And so let me give you my take on why currently where I'm thinking. I'm still evaluating. I'm doing my due diligence. I'm still trying to gather information.
Mm-hmm.
My point of view is that it's not our role to dictate what's important in your community. I think what's important is that we help you find information to make informed judgments that make sense for your community. It's not appropriate for me from Concord to say this is what you should do. So that's my current sort of how I'm evaluating it. The other part of this is that it's a really complicated issue, and as you know, and it's not something that I think is cut and dry, good or bad. I think there are, like every sort of these major energy projects, in my opinion, there are pluses, there are minuses. It's evaluating what is the greatest benefit, what are the greatest negative impacts, and I can't do that. I can't tell Merrimack what's best for Merrimack. And the other part of it that I think is important in that vein is that what might be good for Merrimack may not be good for Hollis. And for us to come out and just take a blanket statement to say we oppose or we are in favor, I don't think would be appropriate for us.
Here, here.
Yeah.
I completely agree, okay?
Sure. No, and
I think you providing us information, helping to facilitate connections between the commissions, all good stuff.
yeah.
But
good.
I really hope the board doesn't take a stand either way.
Yeah, no, I don't suspect we will. I did.
My opinion.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that. I mean, because I've been getting a lot of heat from conservation commissions who have been saying get off the fence already, and my opinion is we're not standing on any fence.
Right.
We're just trying to help you guys do your jobs.
Yeah, yeah.
So we will, and it also, and to truth be told, it is a resource issue too. I mean, this is I watched what happened down in Massachusetts, and I mean the Massachusetts Association of Conservation Commissions has a staff of 4 or 5 folks, and they have multiple partners who are on this, and we just don't have that capacity. We just can't match that capacity. I think it's more effective there's some legislation that's being proposed right now by a rep in Hollis to around eminent domain of this project, and so we're evaluating that as well and whether that's an appropriate step. And that to me seems like a better use of our time is to look at things that would impact potential all conservation commissions, because that's we're the association of conservation commissions, not just one. So we will, the last thing I'll say on it is that we are going to be pulling together some sort of regional meeting at some point, probably after the new year. Where we've been dragging our feet, I shouldn't say dragging our feet, where we've been slow is, one is evaluating, the other is there are other conservation organizations that are typically our partners who have a different point of view on this project. For example, one of the organizations is really just focused on, let's just make sure the pipeline doesn't go through our conservation easements. And to me, that's not the best strategy, in my opinion, because all you're doing is just passing the buck to some other property owner.
That's Beaverbrook.
Yeah, and some of their other partners. Yeah, some of their other partners. So I know Beaverbrook got a lot of heat. If you watch the Pepperell meeting, they got a lot of heat, and that's all I'll say on that. But so I mean, we, as a conservation commission, your job is not to focus on just easements. Your job is to look at all the resources of a community and how those are impacted. So sorry, this is off the cuff. This is the first meeting I've had talking about this project, so this is all off the cuff. I'm still working it out.
It's okay. It's taped, so don't worry about it.
Oh, okay. Good. Feel free to send it around to everyone. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. I'd be happy to give you guys a pop quiz. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. I know, Tim, you had sent me some thoughts. I just want to make sure that I covered it all.
Yeah, I'd like to touch on some of our thoughts.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
So I passed you a copy of the annual survey.
Yeah, great.
That was done here in our meeting. That wasn't my thoughts. That was the group. Okay. But we did leave out some of the. I left off your copy of the response. A few things when it comes to field training series and sessions and things like that.
Yeah.
Only because I thought it'd be easier just to talk about it.
Great.
If you need a piece of paper, want to write any of this down, let me know.
In here.
Okay, good. Yeah, you don't have any of the gray hairs I have, so that's good. So you're good.
Yeah.
Wait till your kids get older.
Yeah, that's right. So, I'd be happy to take ideas. Let's go through them for sure.
So earlier you touched on youth and getting youth involved,
Yeah.
and some of the things that we've done, and Gage is far more familiar with it than I am, but beyond our Eagle Scout projects, which we have tremendous support from Eagle Scouts. They've done a lot on our properties, and they seem very willing to participate, and we try to support them as much as we can, which not only gets the Eagle or the Life Scout who wants to be an Eagle Scout, but it gets their troop, it gets their families, gets other people involved, and now all of a sudden we've got families that are out there enjoying our properties and participating. But when Greater Woods was, after it was mostly acquired, we had hired Moosewood, right, yes. I was just trying to think, Jeff Littleton. Jeff did a comprehensive study of our entire town. Took it from the wild New Hampshire granite and brought it to Merrimack and helped us realize where we had important spots and all that. But he offered, well, as part of his contract with us, we had him, and we paid for him. It was part of the contract, which is things that we're willing to do here, to do a walkabout. And he spent a day in the town, or over, was it 2 days or was it 1 day? The walkabout itself.
He's been here a number of times.
Yeah, okay. Yes, so the walkabout, I believe, was one Saturday where people were invited, and we went to 3 different parcels and spent time at all of them. And I think there was some time indoors as well for lunch or something like that at one of them. So, we highlighted different things, almost like the the beaver one that was done here with Tracy, where we went to different parcels and gave people an opportunity to learn a lot more about different things. We went to the top of Blodgett Hill in Horse Hill. We went out to Greater Woods, and I think there was one other stop that I didn't participate on. So, but that was just one thing that we had done. There's also the logs.
Went we over at Horse Hill too?
Yeah, Horse Hill. We started at Horse Hill. We did the top of Blodgett Hill, walked all the way up to the top, and came back down.
Most of these spots, wasn't
I thought there was 3. Yeah.
there? Right.
So, logs to lumber was something that you're probably more familiar with, Gage.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, the logs to lumber was, we had a small forestry operation that we needed done in a spruce section, and we took down, I can't remember how many logs now. I have a picture of it. I could count if you really need to know. But we took down a number of spruce logs and had them milled on site. We had a company, a guy come in and mill them on site, and we purposely did it. We have a school program that takes all the kids to Washington. For whatever reason, there's often kids that can't go. They have sporting events. They have, for whatever reason, they're not going. So we have another program for them that's held at the school that we can do. So we did this logs and lumber. We started during the weekday, had all the logs cut, stacked in a pile that was accessible to the schoolyard. Then we brought the kids up in groups to watch them do the cutting, which was it was amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of wood that this guy went through in 2 days was stunning. And myself, John, Andy, we were up there helping him. We slowed him down. he would have been done. If we weren't helping, he would have been done quicker. So, but we've used that wood. We built the outdoor classroom. We built a number of signposts. We did a lot of stuff with the wood. The PWD has used a lot of that wood around town for whatever. So it was, again, little kids coming up. We took the middle school, 7th and 8th grade. They were coming up and watching a mill. And so there was a lot of questions, a lot of downtime for him to answer questions about it. So it was very popular.
So just to interject, so one of the other things that I didn't touch upon is, so we hired a program manager, and her job is to really essentially do 2 things. One is to really build up our education effort. The other is the communications. So we're really, in the communications, we're really trying to tell the story of conservation commissions, because we all don't do a good enough job doing it. So we're trying to both do it ourselves and then teach others to do it. So we just had a conversation with the Farmington Conservation Commission, and they've done they're very active. So we asked them to just do a write-up of 1 page, and what we're gonna try and do is feature a new Conservation Commission every month in our newsletter. Look at all these wonderful things that Conservation Commissions do. Here are some great ideas that you guys can do too. So if you guys are up for it, even if it's just bullet point, here's what we've done over the last year, 2 years, 5 years, whatever. I'd love to see that.
Okay.
Pictures are great too. Even pictures are actually even better. So whatever you got, it's great.
We got video.
Yeah, I'll take video too. We have a YouTube channel now.
Yeah. One of them, you're going to block your ears. That's all. It's screaming.
Yeah.
As long as I don't have to join Facebook to get to your website, I'm okay, all right? I don't want to do that.
Not yet.
Yeah.
So there's that. One other thing that that you might find interesting. I don't know. I just triggered. This is again off the cuff. This is something that just triggered Dunbarton just sent us an email, and Pittsfield sent us an email too, and they're looking to do a wood bank. So essentially, do a timber harvest and then set aside some of the wood for the community, for people who are in need, to have, home heating wood for the year. So we're going to watch how Pittsfield and Dunbarton do it and see if that's something that we could write up. But that might be something that would be worth
That
thinking
would be
about.
very interesting.
Yeah.
Because we've found instances where we have available logs, and we've worked them into projects and stuff like that. But that's also another option we could explore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just an idea.
In fact, we currently have wood available if somebody's looking for wood.
Yeah, we probably have close to a grapple load.
Well, there you
It's
go.
accessible
It's
too.
probably only going to be good for probably one more year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We attempted to
Yeah.
do that
Yeah.
last year,
No.
and we're not successful.
Yeah.
Send us some information, and I can, we can get it out. I mean, we've got a newsletter list, and maybe somebody will take to it.
Yeah, I just want to be careful on how we do stuff like that because it is public land and
Mhm.
things like that, and I'm sure that our town leaders would be interested in how we're doing that
Mhm.
or what we're doing there.
Yeah,
That's all.
yeah, whatever you think is appropriate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fine.
So.
Yeah. I had a tree fall in my yard last winter, and before we had a chance to do anything, I had at least 2 neighbors stop and say, "We'll take the wood, if you don't want it." So there's definitely people in my neighborhood that
Yeah.
would take the wood. But
Well, even after this last storm, you drive around, there's trees down everywhere. There was,
Yeah.
within hours, I mean, that tree was down across the road, it was cut up and gone.
oh wow, really?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, well, I remember a number of years ago, I had a neighbor who was out of work, and that's how he fed his family for about 3 months.
Mm.
Is after every storm, he was out with his truck and his chainsaw. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
One other thing to consider is, so we've got our list of sort of topics that we're looking at for this field training series, and one of the things we're doing is we're partnering with UNH Cooperative Extension. They've got about 7 or 8 different organizations that they are partnering with that are going to offer the same sessions every year. So ours are going to be, so we had 2 sessions this year on wetlands. One was on wetlands permitting, another one was on identification. So like, for example, if you can run through the gauntlet of sessions. So with us, you can take a wetland session. You could go to New Hampshire Timberland Owners Association and learn how to use a chainsaw. You could go to the Stewardship Network and learn how to pull invasive weeds. So there's going to be a list that we're going to offer every single year, but at the same time, we are looking for others that we want to offer every year. So I mean, we'll have some ones that we cycle through, but there are certain ones that we want to be able to offer every year. So the wetlands one, maybe beavers is another one that seems to be a hot topic. But if you guys have ideas, I mean, we're trying. What we're really trying to do is really bring skills-based education to conservation commissions, not just show up at a session and kumbaya, but like, here are the things that you're going to learn, and here are the things that you're going to be able to apply when you walk out of here. So if you guys have ideas, I mean, we'll be happy to take them, and if you've got properties that you want to highlight, we'd be happy to do it too. Because I mean, I think that's the other thing that's critical to this, is that we need to get people out enjoying the conservation. I take my view of conservation is the Forest Service view of conservation, not the National Park Service. I believe that people should experience the land, and that's the only way they're going to care about it and want to protect it and want to make sure that it's there for the next generation. I get frustrated when I hear people talk about, we need to protect this from someone else. We need to keep this away from someone else. I think it's always appropriate. You have to have that discussion as a commission. It's appropriate where it's just not. You shouldn't be allowing public access potentially, but I think whenever possible, let's get people out and experiencing it, and let's get that next group of people to understand why this stuff is so important.
Yeah, and that's really what's behind our Merrimack Outdoors website, where we highlight our 7 most prominent properties. It's all about getting people out there.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, so I think that falls right in line with the way we're thinking. So, So I think I highlighted an email to you we did during one of those opportunities where some of the students went to Washington DC on a trip. When some of them stayed back, we did a Raptor Day.
Cool.
So we had a
Raptor Day, we've had an Owl Day,
novel day.
the Logs of Lumber.
Yeah.
We did another.
Vernal pool thing, didn't we?
That's
Yeah,
cool.
that wasn't the Stay
Yeah.
Behind program.
All right.
That was the Vernal Pool Party was a
Mm.
different. Jeff came out and did that with us too.
Yeah.
That was a
Went
that was
right-
that
we
was
had
a lot
pool
of fun.
party. We actually went into a pool and let
Yeah.
kids come right down into the water and stuff like
we
that.
we told them to wear the highest boots they could get, and they got to go in there, and some of them got some of them were knee deep plus and holding
Yeah.
holding eggs.
Yeah,
and,
that's
and,
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
and
that's
they still remember that.
they
too.
still
Yeah. That's what you got to do.
So that's something we should definitely do again because that was
Well, if you guys want to do it this year, I mean, we're looking to do a vernal pool session, so something to think about if you guys want to.
oh the Greater Woods property's got a lot of vernal pools, and some of them we got some pretty good mapping of them now too.
We've got
so,
good parking and stuff like that
Nice.
too, and
Well,
whatever. So
Well,
so that might be
yeah, let us know.
that's obviously a timing spring timing thing
Yeah.
when you want the
Right.
and it's kind of and luckily we had a beautiful day, so it went out very well. But
Yeah.
it's you go you have
Yeah.
to go you got like 2 or 3 weekends and that's
Yeah,
it.
that's right. That's right. That's right.
So
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, we're open for any ideas that you
yeah,
guys have.
well, if you want to follow up with that, you
Sure.
know.
Yeah, I'll have Emily get in touch. Emily Lord's our
yeah,
program
she's
manager.
got my
Yeah,
email
that's
already,
right.
so
Yeah.
I know you had mentioned something about the board, talking about the board a little bit.
Yeah, I was curious because I've been to 3 of the last 4 years of and I see the board and stuff
Yeah.
like that. I had noticed the age of the board
It's changed.
over years. Yeah. So I noticed the new director or president is right next to us
Yeah.
in Amherst.
Yep.
So
Wes.
yeah. So so that's kind of nice. But what is the board? What is their cycle like? What are they doing?
So, up until a couple of years ago, appointments on the board were essentially lifetime appointments until they passed. We've been around for 44 years, and our immediate past president had been on the board for 20 plus years, and we have another member who's been on the board for even longer than that. One of our other weaknesses is that up until this year, we had a 9-member board, 4 of which came from 3 communities, all right next to each other. So 2 from Derry, 1 from Londonderry, 1 from Amherst, like that. So we had some turnover this year. There were some people who had their terms up that we had a conversation, and they decided not to run because I made it pretty clear that one of my goals is I'd like to have a board member in every single county, and we are now, I think, 1 shy of being able to do that. And we have 2 board members who are coming up for their terms are ending, so we will be able to accomplish that. So now we have the only county that we don't have represented right now is Coas, but I have someone in mind. I actually have someone in mind from Bath, actually. But we have there were 3 things that I wanted to accomplish this year relating to the board. One was let's see if we can get a little bit younger. Let's see if we can get some more hard skills with the board members. I'll say what that means in a minute. And let's diversify our geography and diversify our membership. So now we have 10 board members that were in this because we had a president who decided he wasn't going to run for another term. He did agree to move into immediate past president, so we can actually have 10. Normally we have 9. We have one of the things that we did relating to that is we now have a forester, a licensed forester. We now have a certified wetland scientist, Tracy.
Yeah.
We now have a geologist. We now have a economics professor, which I'm really happy about because having someone who knows how to use numbers is important. And we have a couple other skills which I'm forgetting at this point. But the other thing is we now have 5 women and 5 men, which I thought was really important for us to have that balance. So I think we're probably pretty much we've hit all the major milestones that I wanted to hit in 1 year. So and you know we've gotten younger, but it was also a balancing. Is that I didn't want to get so young that the folks that we had on the board didn't have enough experience.
Right.
Especially because we turned over 4 board members. I didn't want to bring in 4 inexperienced people and then sort of have to worry about all that as well. So I think I mean, all the goals that I had coming in January have all been pretty much hit. We've diversified our revenue. We've diversified the board. We've become more involved in the public, and we're getting to know the commissions. And the last part of it, which is why I specifically reached out to the skills that I just mentioned, is I wanted our board to have skill sets that we could offer to the commission. So if one of our other board members is a land use lawyer, so I can pick up the phone very easily and say if a commission's having a problem with an easement project, they're trying to figure out developing the agreement, I can pick up the phone and call my board member and say, would you mind spending 20 minutes with these guys and just kind of helping them with this question? Or, you know, these guys are working on they want to do a timber harvest. Can you talk to them about some best management practices? Tracy has been invaluable with the wetland stuff. We also have committees this year. We never really had committees before. I now have a very strong legislative committee that has 3 legislators on it. So that's really important for us, for you guys, to be able to have that representation. So, yeah, I mean, really the last thing for us to accomplish is to just continue to find other ways to bring in revenue beyond just the dues. We're trying a lot of different things. We've gotten some grants. We're looking at other services that we can provide. So, yeah, it's been a pretty busy year.
Yeah. So different subject, but
Sure.
I think one of the other things that we've been struggling with is mapping and how we map
Mhm.
our trails and all that. We've got the NRPC, you know, right? Actually, they
Yep.
live here in town,
Yep.
doing all their work, but they have different goals,
Mhm.
and we have, you know, us doing our pieces, and so if you're thinking of training sessions, I know GIS and mapping all comes up, but it'd be great to hear, you know, how folks are kind of dealing with that.
So I have 2 responses to that. One is that we did a mobile technology workshop this year up in Tin Mountain, which was basically how to do mapping with your iPad or your cell phone. And we're going to, I think, offer that again, and then we might add a piece to it on once you have the data, what do you do with it?
Yeah, that's the good part. 'Cause
yeah.
we got people who are willing to, you know, strap a GPS
Yeah.
to their helmet and go.
Yeah. Yep. So, yeah, we're definitely looking at that. The other thing, too, is that so actually there's 3 answers to that question. The second answer is we just purchased a GIS license. So we're going to start helping commissions with mapping. And then the third is I have a new board member, who's a professor geologist at Colby Sawyer, who teaches GIS, and she said that she can make students available if commissions need mapping assistance. So that could be one way to help. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Internships. Are commissions doing internships, paid or unpaid?
Yeah. So this is an interesting topic. So I've had a lot of conversations with Mullen, you know Mullen, right? So last year they did a pilot study with an intern, and they actually tried to get a couple different interns. I think their pilot was get the intern to work with a couple different organizations, and one of their rotations was with a conservation commission. And what they found, they got a bunch of proposals from conservation commissions, and they were, shall we say, they expected a lot more work out of someone who was going to be working for free than they probably should have, and that they weren't as organized as they could be. So, for example, one of the commissions wanted basically this intern to go out and to GPS, GIS a trail, clear it, and help build it. And it's like, yeah, no, it's not going to happen. So Mullen we've been working with Mullen to identify what is actually realistic, and more importantly, identify which commissions really do have the capacity to do this, because everybody talks about getting an intern, and they all look at it as free labor. What we have to realize is that this internship is not about free labor. It's about like making it a meaningful experience for the intern. And this is not an indictment on you guys. It's just, that's kind of where we are at.
Well, it's an indictment on internships.
Yeah.
Which is very much what usually what happens.
Yeah.
So, coffees and copies.
Right.
Go get one of the two of them. I don't care which one. Go get me something.
Right.
And it's not productive.
Right. So we're kind of methodically working through that. The Hooksett Commission just actually posted a message on PlanLink about an internship, and so I immediately flagged it and sent them a message. And Mullen had a great job description for internship. So if it's something that you guys are looking at, I'd be happy to share it with you, and then you can start to come up with some ideas. And then I would connect directly with her because she had that experience, and I'd be able to help you with that too. New London is another example. They get an intern every year, and they seem to do very well with it. And actually, my board member, the GIS professor, the person who does GIS, is the vice chair of the New London Commission. So you could probably speak to her as well. So yeah, so I think it's just we want to make sure that that the internship is a great experience, so that when the kid graduates, they say, "Man, that was awesome! I want to go join my conservation commission." Yeah. So that's the critical thing for me.
Anything else? No, I think the only other idea that we kicked around when it came to sessions, which I did throw in an email, was let's just take a walk on our property and see what we find.
Yeah, we do that in Belmont. I'm on the commission in Belmont, and once I think it's once a quarter we go to one of our properties that has beaver issue. We put a pipe out, and we just instead of having our normal meeting at town hall, we'll just go out and have it on a Saturday, and we'll just go take a hike and see what we see. We'll approve our minutes at town hall, and then we'll just chart out from there. And that's been pretty fun. This is where conservation commissions are focused on the environment. We should be outside whenever possible.
Right.
That's my opinion.
Yeah.
So.
Anyone else have anything else for Nick?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Wow.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
Yeah.
And I think there was one last thing that you had mentioned, or maybe, I don't know, another commission had asked is, what can we do as a commission? Just keep on doing good work. Just do good work, because it's really effective for me to be able to go and testify at a hearing, a public hearing in Concord, and say, I represent 216 conservation commissions, and they're doing great work. That's what because the issues always arise when someone is having a problem with their local planning board, their local zoning board, their local commission, and saying, oh, they're not doing it. And I can very easily say, maybe this was an isolated incident. I know for sure that all these guys are doing great work. So just keep on doing great work, and you'll be fine.
You can quiz us if you really want to.
I think you guys probably have a handle. I mean, it was basically, do you have an NRI? Do you get some percentage of land use change tax in your conservation fund? Do you have bylaws?
Yeah.
Do you have a conflict of interest policy?
We don't have that.
There you go.
But
All right, so-
but
Yeah.
but I guess we technically do that. We do actually. So the town charter has one, and we all sign that we receive that policy out of the charter when we get appointed.
Yeah.
So we follow the charter.
I'll give you a half for that one.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the other, the last one really is, do you meet regularly? Yeah. And actually, I should say the last one is, are you active in landowner engagement? So that's a really important one.
Yeah, not as much as we'd like, but yes, we are.
Unfortunately, it's not always positive.
Yeah. Well, you win some, you lose some.
Right. That's the way it's been.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, anything you guys need, this is our job. This is my job. So we're here to help whatever you need.
Good.
We-
Thank
and
you
I
very
think
much.
We'd say the same, like for the training,
Right.
and we'd love to
Right.
sponsor and
Right.
host
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
much of it as we
Right.
can.
If you get a session that you just don't have a place for, you're not sure how to help
Yeah.
get it together, let us know.
I will.
So,
Even though we're in southern New Hampshire, we have a lot of open space
Yeah.
in Merrimack.
yeah.
So this is something for you to think about. I'm sorry, guys. I don't want to belabor. I know you probably want to get home, but I met with the Manchester Commission recently, and they're like pretty much built out. And so there's this. I'm fascinated with urban conservation commissions and suburban conservation commissions because most of our state is rural. But what I would love to see is some ideas that urban conservation commissions and suburban conservation commissions can kind of get onto, because a lot of them are there's just no more land to really work on, or if there is, it's very difficult. So what happens, I think, a lot of times the urban and suburban commissions they get into a rut and they just focus on the site plan review, and they forget that there's a whole bunch of other really cool stuff that they can do, like all the things that you guys just talked about. Like a lot of the commissions, I think, would be really inspired by what you guys just kind of talked about. So, I think if we can get like some of those lists, like a bullet point list from you guys, I think that would go a long way to help starting to teach commissions that you don't have to get together once a month and have a meeting group. You can do some cool stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because we've got well over 1,500 acres of land that we oversee
Well,
here. So,
there you go.
yeah.
Cool. Good deal. Well, thanks for the
Cool.
work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Good.
I need to catch up with him
Yeah.
regarding something that's not town.
Okay.
I'll be very quick.
Recess?
Yeah, let's take a 5-minute recess. It's 8:06 p.m.
I believe it's Amherst.
Oh, I thought it was Hollis. That was a guy.
Well, the Hollis is the guy that's.
Well, they're not bad to him.
So we're back. It's now 8:13 p.m. And that takes us through appointments, statutory advisory, old business, beaver water control activities. I just have been leaving this as a standing spot.
Yeah, the one thing I was supposed to check up on regarding that last quote we got for Hanson Drive,
Yeah.
we were initially a little surprised by the cost because we thought they were just going to put pipes in, and so I've spoken to the company that gave us the quote and to GZA, and the change was to address the fact that they want to keep the beavers in that pond. And if we put a pipe in, a drain pipe in, what that's going to do is empty the pond. So that's why we went from like a fence to an actual leveling device. So the reason behind that was to keep the beaver in the pond. While they were there, GZA and Beaver Solutions were there. They got a couple local neighbors came up and addressed the fact that they like having them there and they wanted to keep them there and didn't want the pond drained.
Yeah.
So that was why they changed direction a little bit and went from having a fence, which would just allow the pond to actually drain down to nothing, to install the leveling device, which would actually keep, because it's a pretty good sized pond.
Right, it is.
what they're intending to do is drain the pond enough to keep the inlet side free of water. So that would stop the beaver from trying to go up and dam that section of it, because there'd be no water up there.
Yeah.
So they're saying we take it down a couple inches just to keep it, so at its high point, it's below that, so there's not really standing water flowing through there. And so that's what their whole design is based on. So,
Okay, and then we were concerned about doing work within our right-of-way, or,
yes, so I told them we're kind of waiting on PWD to find out, or from Tim or someone to find out if
okay,
we're allowed to go in there and do that work.
right, I didn't do anything on
And
that.
I've not heard back from either yet, so
Okay,
I will continue to follow that up.
yeah, all right, but we're not gonna do anything this year at this point anyways, right?
It seems like it's a little late, but if we have 50-degree weather again, and we're projected to have for the next couple of days, I mean, they could go in and do it. Whether schedule-wise they could go in and do it, no. But as long as there's no ice in the water,
Yeah.
Because they did have to chip through Meadowwood to get that in.
Yeah, there's like partial ice.
Yeah, he said that when it was under, it wasn't enough that it was ice, so we didn't see it. So he's getting jabbed with it, so we had to keep. So I felt kind of bad for him. So I ran into him that night. He's trying to load his truck back up. He was cold. So I'm like, oh, mission accomplished.
Okay. We had talked about trying to get everyone together on the 5th of January. Did you have any
Yes, so
discussions on
I've had emails back and forth. GZA is fully on board with that, and we'll be bringing in, they're going to bring in an update to the plan. I got a couple other things that I'd like to have done by then too. I got a list from Adam of the couple areas that he wants to address this year. So any other areas that we need to, that we feel we want to address, because we're trying to get a compilation of what we want to do, all 30 some plus places, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
That's going to fall to us and GCA, I guess, to come up with that list, because Adam gave me his 2 properties and said, yeah, these are the ones we're concerned about. So,
Okay. But you think Adam will attend on the 5th?
I'll have to go back and read those emails again, because I'm pretty sure said he was going to be there, but I have to go back and read that
Right,
email again.
yeah.
So.
If not, maybe his boss or boss could come, because we'd like to get some commitments from them.
Yeah. Okay.
Especially around.
I'll follow up
yeah,
with him again,
okay.
because he was
All right.
good about getting back to me. So.
All right. I'm aware of one project and potentially another for that meeting. So I was thinking that it might be best to get our projects done quickly up front, and then we can go from like 7 o'clock on and do what we need to do on this.
Okay.
Make sense to everyone?
Yes.
So just if Tracy thinks that getting here at 6:30 is tough, tell her, well, we had some other business to do. So
7's fine.
yeah.
Okay.
So
It's easy.
yeah. Anything else on this agenda item? Okay. So that takes us to, there's no new business, other business. I have not been invited yet to attend a meeting with the town council, but it is the last couple of years it's been in January. So I'm expecting that invitation to come shortly. You are all encouraged to go. I'll be starting to put together a presentation, but if you have ideas or thoughts you want to forward to the town council, please let me know. I suspect that we'll have our January 5th meeting before I have to do that. So, because of the way the holiday and everything falls, I don't think there'll be anything in the way, but just be prepared next meeting to bring any comments or direction. Does anyone want me to send out what I did last year? Do you want to see it?
Yeah, I would like to.
I would like to see it.
Okay.
Give me more of an idea.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just like a once a year meeting to say this is what we've done, or
that's what it's all about. Yeah.
okay.
So,
Great.
Annual review.
annual
Okay.
review. Yeah. Yeah. So,
Neither one of us have been here a year,
Right.
so.
yeah.
Oh, so we don't have to do anything.
You're gonna get 100% raise.
Yeah. Right.
So, okay, I'll do that, and you'll know the night, and if you want to go watch it, you might even still be able to find it on streaming video, or maybe not. They're switching the whole system over, so.
Okay.
But if you really wanted to, I'm sure you could ask Nick or the video folks. All right. Under item discussions, I brought up the website. It's now 3 years in place. At least 2 years. Yeah, it's at least 2 years. Yeah, because I wasn't chair when it got put in place. So it's been a while. I'd like to, not right away in January, but I'm thinking that we need to be thinking about a refresh.
Yeah.
I find that the way it's set up, we've got the links on the left, we've got the blurb as to what it's all about, we've got the map. I find most of that to be, since it doesn't change, it's kind of wasted real estate, or I shouldn't say wasted, but I guess we ought to figure out whether we think the map has enough value to have it still be there, or whatever else. I'm just picking on the map, but other things. So just be thinking about it, take a look at it, but I'll probably make it a more serious agenda item once I know that we're not really wrapped up, which would probably be maybe even a February meeting. So we are good to go to the Amherst Conservation Commission on the 11th. I believe that's a Wednesday, right?
But that will be in Amherst.
That'll be in Amherst, yeah. So, if I remember the date. I've got nothing new to report on the pipeline project, except that the town of Merrimack now has a link where you can find out a lot of information that has been provided to the town. The council has made or taken no position, except the position they have taken is we'll do everything in public to keep it as transparent as possible to everybody. So I did, as you know, tip Tom up on his request for input, and I sent it out and copied all of you just my own thoughts. So feel free to expound, add others. As you can tell, my thoughts, I didn't get into the individual homeowner concerns that I'm sure many have. I just focused on one area, so conservation properties. So, and then
I thought that was very thorough.
Yeah, it was.
Yep.
Yep.
Thanks. And I tried not to express too much of an opinion either way. I just wanted to make sure that they had awareness right now. I think there's plenty of time for our own opinions and thoughts later as we get into it. So that was my intent, was just to get it on their radar screen so they don't forget about some of these things. So finance review, I did get the information from finance department, and I would either schedule it for our first or second January meeting so we can go over how things went last year and where we are money wise. But I will be pulling in some of that information into our annual update to the council, and I have in the past couple of years included our finances in the annual report, which I've been asked to provide, and I'll give you all a draft of it once I get it together. That's due early January, so you'll be seeing that. I think we'll have one more meeting where we have to call it final, so I'll be working that over the next couple of weeks. So you'll be seeing some financial information in there, but we won't actually have our full review. And our full review last year was just, this is where we're at type stuff, because I want to be as transparent as we can with our public funds. So, and that covers everything I have for other business. Anyone have anything else? All right. Minutes. So, any thoughts on minutes, the 17th of November?
On the 17th. Yeah, I was confused by on page 3, line 1. Mud trucks?
All right,
The motion.
Truck.
Do we need a motion to accept
Oh,
them?
truck.
Make changes.
Sorry,
Move the minutes with amendments?
with amendments, yes.
Okay, all right, so that's Mike's
Second.
motion, and seconded by Gage. All right, jump right in there, Mike.
Sorry.
Say that again, page?
Page 3, line 1, is that supposed to be mud trucks? Is that supposed to be mud tracks? Or,
Like mud, like mudding jeeps, I think is what that means.
Yeah, so
Oh,
wheel
oh,
trucks, you know,
all right,
yeah. Yeah, I believe the term was mud trucks, though.
okay. I was confused.
Right.
You know, line 29 on the same page, I was confused in there too. He has had the opportunity to patrol the area of Greater Woods, however, has been limited to about an hour or so before having to, I guess, I guess that's all right. Yeah.
Okay.
Page 5, line 40. I think there's a word missing. Voting takes place for commissioners, on commissioners. Page 5, line 40.
We have a-
The annual meeting is typically the last Tuesday in March where voting takes place on, should be maybe,
Probably should say four. I may have said on, but four commissioners. Or I meant to say four, or that's the term. So yeah, so the last word you can change to four. All right.
While we're right there,
Yeah.
go to line 43. Chairman Tenay stated his impression of their intent. I think we should have another word in there. Of.
Yeah.
You got anything on page 6, Mike? No, good.
no,
Okay, so on page 6, line 11, I just think we're missing another word there. The Commissioner Perry noted existing trails are within the sanitary protection area.
Yeah.
Nothing more for page 6? Anything for 7?
I was on line 30 and 31. I didn't know, I mean, maybe that's the term. It will be along the muds.
Yeah, okay, good.
Okay. And then the flat BAM out in
Yeah.
front of it. Okay, so,
Yeah,
Bam.
we got the same ones, yeah.
okay, good. I was like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I'm not I mean, I do remember talking about that.
Me too.
And it's the mudded banks that are along that stream are very close to the outlet there, and that's what they want to take that back a little bit. So
Maybe it was bank, flat
along the
bank
banks.
out in front of it. Well, no, for the.
Well, that's gonna no the
You know what
I'm
BAM is?
I'm thinking yeah. Well, that's supposed to be dam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good.
So 31 is not supposed to be BAM. It's supposed to be dam.
Damn. Yeah.
And then on line 30, the muds. I would imagine that's supposed to be the mud banks or
Yeah.
the mudded banks or something like that,
Yeah.
because the muds I don't think really.
Yeah.
I would say-
I think
that-
mudded banks.
Mudded banks, I think, would probably be the right word.
Yeah.
But mudded banks. But up above that, in a number of places, starting on line 12, that's Hansom Drive
Yes.
with an M, not an N,
Yeah.
at the end. HANSOM. So it's written in there a couple places. So we just need to Hanson to Handsome in all locations.
So I did have one other all the way back on page 2, line 43. I believe there should be a period at the end of that line.
Oh, yep.
That one.
Yep. So that's the only other item that hasn't been brought up.
Okay.
Anyone else have anything else for the November 17th?
I do not.
All right.
I just have a question on page
sure.
9. Line 23,
Page 9.
yeah, line 23. The proposed trail would be 2 feet wide. Is that really how wide the trail? Is that, I don't know, I didn't know if that was a mistake or actual, yeah.
Yeah, that was the intent of that one.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Wants to just squeeze in there through, right?
Okay.
Okay, well, since there's nothing else on November 17th, all those in favor as amended signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, that passes 5-0-0. All right, that takes us to December 1st.
I'll move December 1st with amendments.
All right, moved by Matt,
Second.
seconded by Gage. I didn't get a chance to go through all these, so I appreciate your comments.
Page 3, line 1.
Yep.
Pond is in an oval shape with cattails at
Not-
the inlet side. Not bunnies.
Yeah. Boy, I wonder if I did say cottontails. I may have. Who knows?
That'd be pretty funny.
I even researched the genus species just in case we needed further clarification. Page 5, line 20. I noted a meeting, but it wasn't the Milford Conservation Commission. It was the ROAST, which is the Regional Open Space Team meeting.
ROST then.
ROST,
Yeah.
instead of Milford Conservation Commission.
Okay. Held in Milford.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
I have one more item on that page. That
Yep.
It's not so much a correction, other than the fact it's just a little bit of a clarification. The on line 4, I gave you the cost of the seedlings, and that was purely for the seedlings themselves, not for the taxes and everything else. So I don't know if we just want to update that to, amend it for updated purposes, or leave it be.
I would say that the minutes
We
for
can-
this meeting can
we can-
reflect the
okay.
true cost. All right, so let's leave the December 1st the way it was stated.
Yep.
So, all
That's easy.
right. So do you want to?
Do you want to make
Sure.
Make
So,
it-
so
just-
while
just
we're
so
on the
everyone-
subject,
we're on the subject, so everyone knows. So what we do is we have these shipped to our local county forces office, and then Eber or myself would go up and I'll pick them up. So the cost includes the shipping and tax, so that's another $62. So the total is going to be $422 even for the seedlings this year. And further along that same concept, we are potentially planning the seedling giveaway to be on, I think it was May, what did we say, May? The day before Mother's Day, which I believe is May 7th, May, was it 16th, May 17th, something like that? Hold on a second. Get the calendar back up. Thanks, Matt. Yeah, we were looking at, it's
Those ones aren't working for you.
No, that's all right. No, they help if you put them on. Yes, Saturday, May 9th is what we're shooting for, and that's the day before Mother's Day. If that's seemingly okay with everybody.
Yeah.
Both Eber and John feel that that day will work.
Alright.
So I'm gonna go ahead and that's nothing to do with the minutes. So
Okay. So, but with that stated, we're going to need to support that.
Yeah.
So usually it runs in the morning for a few hours, and we're doing that at Curry Orchards.
Yeah.
So if people could start planning ahead, be thinking about May 9th. I know you're getting into college graduation season and all that stuff too, but you know, just whatever. If you could schedule out a couple hours on that Saturday morning, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'm right there, so
Yeah.
I could definitely
Okay.
help out.
Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. Back to the minutes.
Back to the minutes. We can finish talking about things after.
Yeah. Anyone else have anything for the December 1st minutes? Are we good?
Good.
All right. All those in favor as amended signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? That passes 401 with Cindy abstaining. All right. That takes care of minutes. Public has left the building.
Good cottontails. Beavers and cottontails could be friends.
They really don't swim that well.
The beaver?
No, the cottontails.
Do you throw them in the water? Nasty person.
You know, when I
You're gonna get me.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
when I first moved to BB Lane, there used to be rabbits coming. I never see rabbits anymore.
I've seen them in Greater Woods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I never see them in the. I used to see them on my lot. You know, I guess it must be all the dogs and stuff. I don't know.
In fact, a lot of tracks in the upper trails of Greater Woods.
Yeah, I have seen trucks.
This-
You're right.
This past weekend when I was out there,
Yeah.
a lot of rabbit tracks. So they're out there.
Yeah.
And they just moved away from the dogs,
Yeah,
probably.
like they're just not around the
Yeah.
in the people's property anymore.
All right. So I guess we're at commissioner comments. Anything else, Mike?
No.
Okay. Cindy?
No.
Matt?
Nothing.
Gage?
Just real quick, we've had in Mitchell Woods, we've had that level device back there now for a couple of weeks, and one of the issues that we were having, well, or it's an issue, but one of the things we were noticing is that with the higher water level, we weren't getting any migration of the animals back up along the stream because the sides were so mushy. With the water levels way up, the water levels down almost a foot. And I'm sure the ground is also a little more firm with the cold temperatures, but in 2 weeks' time, we're already seeing more migration back along that stream up in the Greater Woods and back. It's already noticeable.
So I drove by there looking for the access into there. Kind of just. Yeah, it's like between which houses?
I can't give you the number.
Yeah.
You can't miss it. There's a big gate in it.
Well,
yeah, I'll take a
Well,
look.
you can miss it.
yeah,
You
drive
gotta-
slow. Drive slow.
Drive
Ah,
slow.
yeah, I missed it.
So you gotta go down the bottom of the hill, and you go to the left as you go around. Before you start heading back uphill,
Yeah.
it's towards, it's on the J, so it's, or the round part.
Yeah,
But,
it'll
it's
be
before,
more.
but it's before you take your second left and head out of the neighborhood.
Yeah, I was going by and I just decided I was going to
Yeah,
like.
yeah. Yeah,
I'm sure I've got a picture of the entrance somewhere.
Yeah. I'll be more.
But there's
thorough
there's a
next
white
time.
there's a white split level house right there, or I guess it's white. I think it's kind of a light color.
All right.
With a he's kind of open the property up in the back and he looks out into the stream. Right beside it, there's a cut of a little woods road type of an entrance, and it's just a bit wider than your car, or a bit wider than mine because I know I can back down it.
Yeah.
And it's it just there's a lovely fence sitting right there, and
yeah. It's a aluminum type fence or gate that's seen better days, to say the least.
It used to be more recognizable because of the Bay State Forestry sign that was
Yeah,
on the tree right next to it.
there's a there's a wood farm or wood tree farm sign there, but it's in the trees, so you have to really look for it to see it. But yeah, I don't
Maybe
know.
with the leaves down, it might be more obvious.
Yeah, it's
though.
you can see it a little better now, but
I
it's,
didn't want to like go snooping in people's yards.
Yeah,
I want to make sure I'm
Yeah,
in the right
if it
spot.
doesn't look obvious to you,
it-
then you haven't found it.
Yeah.
if you
Okay.
go down to the low when you go down the loop,
Yeah.
if you go down to the low spot and just park and just
Yeah.
you'll see it.
That's all.
Yeah, it's right there.
Okay. Any other comments?
No, I'm good.
All right. Well, then all I have is we're now at the end of the year and at that time of season, and I wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. So,
Same.
and we'll see you again next year. So,
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
yeah.
Enjoy your brief time off.
Right. All right. And I'm ready.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Damn,
Moved
nice
by
job. There you go.
Moved by Cindy, seconded by Matt. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That passes 5-0-0, and it is now 8:40 p.m.